Hi everybody, my name is Brandon and I am here today to do an in-depth autograph authenticity study on one of the greats of the NFL, Reggie White. And have a specimen here that is raw, and we're going to kind of deep dive into the little intricacies of his autograph and see exactly what this if this autograph that we have here is authentic. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so let's take a look at the specimen in question. And this is a 1984 Topps USFL Premier Edition rookie card for Reggie White with the Showboats, the Memphis Showboats. And you can see the big bold autograph with the big bold inscription. He was a very faithful man, so he always inscribed his signatures with scriptures. And so you can see here it says John 3:16, and you can see the autograph there, pretty bold in Sharpie. And so we're calling this the Reggie White investigation. And so let's get some comparisons. Let's take a look at some things here. I've taken the autograph and I've taken it digitally out of the card, so we can do some overlays. We can look at live ink. Let's do some live ink comparisons here. We can take this. So here's some live ink analysis. You can see here we're at the very top, underneath where the O starts in John. You can see it starts, comes around, goes back up to the top, and then crosses over. You can see where it's lighter at the beginning and then it gets darker where it crosses over. So that's a good indication of live ink. We can also look here at the G's in Reggie. There are light spots, dark spots where where the pen was drawn through faster and left less ink than when you're making a curve. And you can also see in the bottom of the G where the downstroke and then the upstroke overlap through the middle. It's darker there, and you can see how the G's are darker because of the curves. The pen slows down, those kinds of things. So great indication of live ink with this specimen. So let's flip over here and look at some structure, autograph structure analysis of his autographs. He is a very sloppy signer. His signature is never. Oops, sorry. Let me get the right thing here. His signature is never the same, and you'll see that because his handwriting is so different all the time. So one of the benefits to his autograph is he always inscribes, so we have extra clues and extra writings to compare from signature to signature. And he does have quite a few signatures out there, so that's a benefit too. But it is a very popular autograph, very expensive, and being on this card makes it even more rare. So if you see here, like the left, some things that are similar from autograph to autograph would be like the left to right down up points, like the little fish hooks at the bottom of the J's and the 3's. There's no similarity letter to letter within the signature. The E's are different. Every G is different. O's and N's and T's, everything is always different. So what we'd have to do is look at a lot of autographs and get a lot of collective information about a lot of different autographs to see the similarities. in those autographs. So let's look here at the R in the specimen here. It's a very tall R, and it's very narrow. It doesn't branch out, you know. But there is a slight curve. It kind of curves like a C. It has a left to right curve. It curves to the right, and there's a very narrow transition at the base of the R. There's a very small little point there where the R comes way down, almost to where it started, and then it just branches off into the O, or into the E there. I'm sorry, and you'll see other transitions out into the O's in some of the other examples. But the little point there at the base is a key characteristic of this autograph. Also in the G's, the G to G is very distinct. It comes up almost like a C, and then has the drop down, and then goes back up and starts another C, and then goes into the drop down. The first drop down is typically always more narrow than the second one. As you can see here, it looks like IV. So the first G, the base of the first G is always more closed than the second G, which is more V-shaped. And they're always very similar heights, even though they are at different levels. If you take them and you measured them, they would be the same height. So they're very unique G's, and as he got older, the older autograph, the autographs where he signed where he was older, got more loopy. Everything got more loopy, and sometimes he doesn't even have the drop downs in the G's. They're just loops. So that's a little bit of structure analysis, so we can see how the autograph is built to make these comparisons. So let's take a look here and do a side by side with some exemplars that are true, authenticated supposedly. And let me get the bigger version out here again of what we're working with. So you can see here's this 1986 Topps, his first NFL card. It's autographed, authenticated by PSA, and you can see again very sloppy. Nothing is ever the same twice. But if you take these two signatures and compare them, the structures of the G's are very similar. The John is very similar, especially in the O, H, and N, and then the 316 is very similar, even though they're all separated. And like the 16 is separated from this one, but not in the 86 version. They're very similar handwriting, very similar stroke, very similar weights of the markers. So let's take a look here. See what we can do here. The next one is another 86. You can see here that the G's very similar. The I's, the E, very similar. The tail, W always has that tail at the top where it kind of bumps. I guess that's not a tail, but the little whip there. But again, here in the numbers, the 6, the 3s, all very similar styles, and similar strokes and similar construction, with a little fish hook at the bottom, and the weight of the pen is the thickness, the gauge of the pen is very similar. This one does have a tall, slender R, but it's a little more bubbly, and the base is a little bit different. But this is a fair comparison, an authenticated comparison. So you can see that version there. Let's take a look at this one. This one is from Beckett. This was a Beckett graded example, and this one here I gave you a little flash there quick before I guess I clicked on the wrong layer, but this is authenticated, but I don't know. It's a tough one for me doing this comparison to see that these have any similarities with the other authenticated versions. If you look at the R, it's a big loopy R at the top, and the where the I guess the leg on the right hand side of the R, where it comes down, does not go down and loop out at the base. It comes out from the middle and stops, and then it picks up with the E. Most of the time, again, they come down from the base and go into the E with that little point and then the big swoop at the base. And this does not do that. And then if you look at the E's in the Reggie, the two E's, you very rarely see a signature of his that doesn't have big circular E's. These are almost like I's. So that's a little concerning for me here with this 1987 Topps BAS authenticated version. If you look in white, there's no I, and there's always seems to be an I in his name in the white, and the E at the base at the end of the last name White has no loop E, which you'll see most of the autographs that are authenticated have that loop E. And if you look at the 3 in the scripture, it doesn't have any of the normal characteristics with the little tail, the little start top, the little right to left start, and then doesn't have the trademark fish hook at the base. So I saw this one and thought that it may be interesting. And in my opinion, based on this investigation, I don't think that this is an authentic 1987 Reggie autograph by any means, because it doesn't hold any of the normal characteristics of the examples that I've shown you, or the ones that I'll show you even here further. Let's go on to this 1988 version. You can see here, again, the structure of the R is very similar to the second 86 that we saw, and you've got the structure of the G's very similar, and the loopy E's as compared to the 1987 version. The white, you can see, is very similar in structure, and especially when we get here into the threes. The threes, again, in the scripture, the 36 and the 39, basically they're spot on. They have the right to left start, and then they have the fishhook base, and you can see here in our example, in the specimen in question, he ran out of room, and he drops down and always manages to finish putting the numbers in there, just like he did here with this 88 example. So let's take a look here at some more. We've got a 91 Fleer, and you can see here I wanted to show this one off again, just because the way he wrote the scripture, again, ran out of room and dropped it down. So that's another characteristic of the inscription structures that he's known for. And let's look at this next one here, a 92 Ultra. Same thing. He drops down the 16 just like he did here. So let me. This is just a document cut that you can see the G structure is very, very similar. Loopy E's, The whip at the top with the W, very, very similar. The way that nothing is ever straight. There's no straight lines. There's always a kind of like a swoop from down left to up right. And this one doesn't have an inscription, obviously, because it's from a document. But this is just another pen signed flat. So let's see here. I wanted to show you this. I have some overlays that we can do here. So this Reggie is from the red Reggie down here at the base. Is an overlay that we're going to use to. Hold on one second. Let me get. All right, I should be able to grab. Oh, we gotta grab over here. Okay, so if we take the Reggie and I place it over the Reggie here, you can see very similar heights in the R's. You can see the lean is very similar. You can see the angle at the point of the base here. Now this is pen versus marker, so there's some variation. And then if we can move these around because nobody's hand is in the same place or in the same shape or whatever from one signature to the next from any one particular day. But you can see at the base here, the same exact exit and same exact entrance into the E. Now it got a little crazy up here for him, but it actually comes back around and meets again in the same place. And if you take the G's and you put the G's, the loops of the G's, that first G is exactly the same. It dips down at the same angle. It stops at the same point. The next G starts and stops at the same in the loop in the second G there. And then if we put the V, what I call the V, over the transition into the I in Reggie, it's the same exact angle. And then if we finish with this, you can see here into the I, out of the E, out of the I, and into the E. They're all exactly the same crisscross points. Even the stop is the same. And then this is the 6 from our specimen in the autograph. If we take this and overlay this on the 36 in this inscription, you basically can't tell the difference. The 6 in the flat, it does have in the white paper flat here, does have a little tail, but this is almost the only one that I saw that had a tail in my discovery here. So you can see that way too many similarities. And again, nobody's going to sign the same exact signature all of the time. There's going to be variations. So that's why we can move these things around. If he's signing on somebody's back, or if he's signing on a table, or signing on a wall, everything's going to can be different. And his signature is different from one to the next anyway. But you can see here there's so many similarities in this one example. So let's bring this back up and let's see what we've got here. So let me just make sure I'm in the right place. I want to show you guys this example. So this is a authenticated. Let me get rid of that. This is a PSA authenticated card. Same exact year. If you look at it here, same exact. The card. And then I'll bring up the large specimen again, side by side. You may not even be able to tell, other than the 16 is dropped, that they're even different signatures or different cards. And what I want to do here is take and overlay the examples. So this is our Reggie here in the white, and I want to take this and show you guys. Bring this over here. you can see this is the overlay here, the white see-through Reggie that I have. I'm going to overlay this on top of. Now I'm not changing or distorting. I'm just making smaller. But if you see here, overlay onto the R, and we can adjust the angles too. Like I said, that's not ever going to necessarily be exact every time. I'll make it a little bit bigger and bring it up here on the screen. So let's take this and just put this right over the R, and you'll see that R, even where the point juts out here, the loop ends in the same spot, starts in the same spot. The point of the exit from the R into the E is exactly the same. The down out of the R into the E overlaps exactly the same. Out of the E into the G is the same loop size. The down and out of the G into the next G, virtually the same size and same loop. The angle of the V in and out, start and stop, is exactly the same. You've got the I, which has the same exact shape, into the E. So you can see there that there's way too many similarities between the specimen that I have and, I mean, even this card here that's authenticated, and you can see that there's just way too many comparisons for this not to necessarily not be authentic, the one that I have. If you take the white, okay, this is, again, we're dealing with autographs from different time frames. So I want to take this. They could have been signed the same day, actually, but nobody ever signs exactly the same. I want to make this a little bit smaller because the one on the screen is a little bit smaller. Oops. Come on. All right, here we go. So if we look at the W and the start and the stop and the break in the left side, it's exactly the same. Where the break comes up to front, it starts, the W starts at the top, comes up, breaks, and the base of the W is exactly the same, and where it ends is exactly the same. Let me make this a little bit smaller and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So the right side at the top is exactly the same. If I just turn this a little bit and we can follow the card, you'll see the H is exactly the same height. A little bit different shape, but again, his handwriting is so sloppy, nothing is ever the same. So out of the H into the I, exactly the same shape. A little bit longer out of the I into the T, but if you look, the way the I crosses, or the way the T is crossed, it's crossed at the same exact height. And even the point out of the T is exactly the same. Overlay here, into the T and out of the T is exactly the same. And there's your E. Now his E fell off here. He didn't finish the E. It kind of broke there, but you can see out of the T into the E is the same exact shape there. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the John, the scripture, and you'll see here, just resize it a little bit, and you'll see the cross of the J is exactly the same shape. The hook out of the J is exactly the same shape. If we look at the O, actually this can come down a little bit, be a little smaller. Same shape O. If we overlay the H and the N, same zigzag. Oops. Same zigzag shape here. The distance between the end of the N and where the 3 is, the placement is exactly the same. Same form and structure in the 3s. This is pretty interesting. If I take the plus or the cross, whatever you want to call this, and we overlay this, and this is a little bit bigger, just make it the same size. Where they start and where they cross and where they stop and where they cross again, and even the gap, the shape of the gap on the bottom left hand side of the plus is exactly the same. And the 16 in the PSA version, like the 1 you know, same exact shape and form. He was pinched a little bit here with the 6, but the loop in our 6 and the loop in the PSA 6 are exactly the same size. So with that being said, turn all these things off. Have to kind of come to the conclusion that the 1984 specimen that we have is an authentic autograph. You know, there's obviously a lot of people out there that are you know, not truthful with their autographs, and forgeries and fakes obviously are out there like crazy. You know, they even say if you didn't see it signed, consider it a fake. But we have to look at these things and look at things that have been authenticated, and see exactly how ones that aren't should be and are authentic. And hopefully in this first episode of ForensiX, you'll see that we go in depth. We can look at things that were authenticated. Look at that 1988 example of this. It doesn't look like any of the other autographs. Yet it is slabbed, and that one would be in question for me. But my feelings here are that we do have an authentic version, and if you don't mind, leave comments below, subscribe to the channel, and if you don't mind checking out our stores and our product lines at c4rd5.com. We've got autograph breaks there. We sell autographs, and you can check out Signatures, which is our flagship product line. And I thank you for watching our video today. Thanks.